to our sisters, all to existence. God's help will come from up above, but first we need the love.
Merekam kan? Oh, okay.
All the games people playing now, feel the flames.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اجعلنا منهم ومن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. آمين يا رب العالمين. I'd like to start first of all by sharing how ecstatic and happy I am to have the opportunity to address all of you here today. It's my first visit outside of the United States since about 1993, so I haven't left the US for a very, very long time, and this is the first time, alhamdulillah, and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity, and I must say, alhamdulillah, I feel at home, I really do. And you know, I've heard a lot of weird things about you guys in the UK, but I haven't experienced any of that yet, alhamdulillah. And it's very interesting that a lot of you that come up to me say, so how do you find the UK? But you don't end there, you say, how do you find the UK so far? Right? Because you know there's something coming out of the corner, so I'm mentally prepared, but so far I'm very pleasantly surprised. And good to know that all the stuff I heard about you guys thus far hasn't been proven true, and inshallah it won't be. Inshallah, I'll tell you the great things I've heard about you guys so far too. And that is that the youth, alhamdulillah, in the UK are very energetic, and they have a lot of zeal to do Islamic work, and they, you know, they're very, very involved. And alhamdulillah, I see that kind of energy here, and I make dua for the youth and their guidance, and that Allah Azza wa Jal puts them at the helm of real scholars that they can benefit from and benefit society with, inshallah. So I was given this topic, the best of people, a very intimidating topic, and it can be addressed from so many different ways. But I wanted to highlight one area of concern within this very large discussion, the best of all people. At a macro scale, at an overall scale, Allah Azza wa Jal gave that title to this ummah, as all of you know. كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ. You're the best of all peoples, best of all nations that has been derived for the service of humanity, for mankind. So that's already a title that the Muslim enjoys, a title of responsibility. But I wanted to talk about being the best of people from the individual point of view. Because one of the failures of the nations of the past, and the nation that failed the most in the past, that Allah highlights the most from the past, is Bani Israel. One of their failures was they had this sense of national pride, that they are the best, and they forgot about themselves. Allah captures this concern when He tells us, أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ. You tell people to do good, you forget about yourselves. They were obsessed with this title of their own, and they forgot that this is something that begins with the self. So how do I become the best of people? Myself. That would be the primary concern, well, before looking at anything else. And this is really something that especially young folks, when you're at the prime of your youth and at the height of your energy in serving Islam, this is the easiest thing to forget. It's the easiest thing it's so easy to get fired up about the ills of society, to get involved into political discussions, or this group versus that group, and get caught up in all of these things, and in the midst of it all, forget that you are here to make yourself a better human being, a better slave of Allah Azza wa Jalla. That concern can get drowned out in the midst of all of the other stuff that's going on. So I want to highlight some things about that. And the thing that I really want to highlight, something I've been trying to communicate to my own community, and communities across the United States, and I don't think it's any different here, is the idea of balance, the concept of balance. Allah Azza wa Jalla calls this ummah a balanced middle ummah, ummatan wasata. Surah Al-Fatiha is, from even a literary point of view, a remarkable picture of balance. Everything is balanced in that beautiful surah. And so what does that balance mean? Especially for the guys here, the men here. Some of you are married. You have responsibilities to your wives. You have a responsibility at work. You have a responsibility to your community. You have responsibilities to your children. You have responsibilities to yourself and your own well-being and your health. So you've got responsibilities all around. All of these different things are pulling at us. Every one of these things demands our time. And you know what happens to a lot of times to Muslims? They take one of those things and they give it all the time that it deserves, at the expense of other things that deserve their time. I'll give you an American example. You have, for instance, in the US, you have brothers that are very involved at the masjid. And a lot of times, not all the time, a lot of times, these same brothers are also having a really hard time at home. Their marriages aren't going very well. And that's the guy that says, you know what, I'm going to volunteer an extra few hours putting the chairs together for the program. No, brother, go home, take care of your marriage. The masjid needs your time, yes. You should be volunteering and helping out, but you have obligations to your family first. You have to take care of that. You know, our marriages are the key to society. You and I talk about bringing Islam to society. Society is only made up of families. If the family isn't in harmony, you can't talk about a society that is going to be in harmony. What is it that we're offering people is a religion of peace, tranquility. If you walk into your house, and from the moment you walk in, it's arguments and sarcasm and bickering and voices being raised. If that's all that's going on in your house, what are you and I going to be offering to the world outside? That world that's in chaos. So it has to begin at home. And it has to begin with us giving time to our families. It really does. And it's not just a rhetorical thing to say. You know, for me, for instance, I'm traveling here. This is the longest I've been away from home. This is now 3 days. It's going to be approaching 3 days tomorrow. I travel, you would think I travel a lot. I travel very little. I travel maybe 2 times a month, and at a time, maybe it's a day and a half that I'll travel. I'll leave on a Friday morning, be back by Saturday evening, and even that's very long. Because I know my kids need my time. I need to have lunch with them, I need to have dinner with them, I need to spend time with them. That's part of my responsibility as a Muslim. And that's part of my responsibility in becoming a balanced individual. Because if that's not in balance, if that's not in focus, then there's something that's going to be missing in what I want to communicate to others about this deen, about this religion. So this idea of balance within your family. Then there comes balance between other Muslims. If your family situation is harmonious, it's going to have an impact on how you interact with Muslims in general. If you're miserable at home, there is no surprise you're the guy in the middle of all the fights at the masjid. It's not a surprise. You're a frustrated individual, it carries over to other aspects of your life. And that you're always angry, and you're not seen smiling. Alhamdulillah, most of the time when I meet Muslims here, even if they don't know me, I smile at them, they smile back. But then I meet a lot of those other guys. You walk into the masjid, you say, Assalamu alaikum, he gives you that look of death.
That look of death.
What happened to you? Did you just come from the dentist or something? Or you don't want to show me your gold tooth? What is it? Why are you so angry? Right? What sunnah is that? I don't understand. You know? Or people sizing you up. You walk into the masjid, you're supposed to have a certain uniform on, you're supposed to look the same way. Anybody looks a little different, they're like... And then their deviant meter is gauging how deviant, how far from the deen they are, right? They're trying to figure out how deep in hellfire is this guy going. Right? When you're frustrated at home, you become judgmental, sarcastic, you know, condescending to other Muslims. Bani Israel had that problem. Allah Azza wa Jalla talks about lots of problems of Bani Israel. The one that fascinates me, Allah talked about them killing each other. Can you imagine a Muslim? They were the Muslim Ummah of that time. They're killing each other. ها أنتم هؤلاء تقتلون أنفسكم وتخرجون فريقا منكم من ديارهم. You're the same people that are killing your own selves. You continuously killed your own people and expelled them from their own homes. Your own people, first you made them fariq. Surah Al-Baqarah tells us the word fariq, which comes from farq or fariq, something that's separated. So first in their rhetoric, in their khutbahs, in their talks, in their lectures, they said, that is a deviant group, stay away from them. They're going to the hellfire, they're calling to the hellfire. They're not right, they're not guided. So first they created a hatred for a group within the Muslims. And then when they created enough of that hatred, it opened the license for them to say, these guys are wajib al-qatl. I'm using our terminology, they must have used Hebrew back then, but that's essentially what they did. It's halal, their blood is halal on you now. So you could just transgress over them, kill them, fight them. Alhamdulillah, we haven't reached that stage. Alhamdulillah. But let me tell you why I'm fascinated by this ayah. Because of the ayah right before it. The ayah right before it, Allah Azza wa Jalla took a contract with Bani Israel. وَإِذَا خَذْنَا مِيثَاقَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلِ. Very simple things. Very simple things. لَا تَعْبُدُونَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. You're not going to be enslaving yourself, worshipping anyone other than Allah. And then he says, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. And when it comes to both parents, you're going to be the best you can possibly be. This is an address to an ummah. You would think there's going to be political issues addressed. There's going to be major issues of, the unity of the ummah addressed, etc. Allah starts from home. Worship me, take care of your parents. How many young guys here that volunteer all the time, that help out? They're even helping out in the conference. How many times you call your mother today? How many voicemails she left you? How many text messages that you haven't responded to? Your father says don't go. Or come back early and say, no, I'm serving Islam, I can't listen to you. You're calling me to dunya. Right? That's how you deal with your father. Or you can't carry more than a 5-minute conversation with your father because it boils your blood. Listen to this advice that Bani Israel was given. It's no different than the advice Allah is giving us. That's why it's in the Quran. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا وَذِي الْقُرْبَى. A lot of you guys, alhamdulillah, the religious fervor and the religious energy in London is incredible. I really appreciate it. I go to suburban towns in the United States where the vast majority of Muslims, first of all, they don't even look Muslim. Second of all, it's a blessing if they show up to Jumu'ah. It's a blessing if the vast majority of them might show up to Jumu'ah. And even the ones that do, I conduct seminars all over, and there's a crisis situation in many communities in the United States where our young folks are on the verge of leaving Islam if they haven't already. And some of them are courageous enough to come up and ask me, look, I'm having problems with this belief. I took a philosophy class and I can't really reconcile my faith anymore. Or I have this problem with that. Some major stuff. You guys, I'm sure you have your set of problems. But overall, the religious energy in this community is very strong. It's very strong. But at the same time, that energy, Allah Azza wa Jalla wants us to transform that energy and says, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا وَذِي الْقُرْبَى. Those possessing closeness, you're going to be the best to them. The reason I bring that up is, a lot of you have cousins that don't have beards. A lot of you have friends, uncles, that aren't religious. They actually make fun of you because of the way you look now. They don't like how you look. They think you become a Maulana or a Mullah or whatever. Right? And you're the object of ridicule. And you don't like spending any time with them because they don't look like you. You'd rather be with people that are in the same mindset as yourself. The fact that Allah made them your family means you have to spend time with them. You have to keep good relations with them. You have to be the best you can possibly be to them. Ihsan, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا وَذِي الْقُرْبَى. There are a lot of Desis in the audience, I can tell. There's something, I don't care if you're from the UK, Australia, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, it doesn't matter. When you're Desi, there's some problems that are just universally Desi. And one of those problems are, we just don't like extended family. We don't like it. We love fighting with the in-laws. Oh my God, we're really good at that too. And we can't stand, extended relations and politics between you gave this one this gift, but you didn't give it to that one. They came over to our house and they did this and they didn't do that. And take little things, zoom in on them with a microscope and create a huge catastrophe within our households. That's what we love doing. This talk is titled The Best of People. How about we start being the best family members? The best of people to our own families. How about we start letting things go? I'm particularly now for a moment thinking on the sisters. Let your daughter-in-law live a little. Let her, give her time, give her space to breathe, lady. Your son, you're not changing his diapers anymore. He grew up now. Let him live his life. It's okay if she wants to name her child. It's all right. You have to learn to let go. And when you don't, you create this chaos in society. And the men of our community, they don't want to deal with it. They just say, deal with it. I'm going to the masjid to volunteer. Right? You guys deal with it. This is not the best of people. We're supposed to be dealing with these things. We're put in charge for a reason. It's because we are supposed to maintain harmony in society. But if the men of our community say, I love my mother, and out of love of my mother, I'm going to yell at my wife. Or I love my wife, and out of love of her, I'm not going to go over to my mom's house, etc. Then you've already developed a serious imbalance. You don't understand what it means to be the best of people. You have to be the bad guy. Brothers, I'm sorry to break it to you. Our job as head of household, members of community, father, husband, son, etc., somebody will always be unhappy with us. We just have to make sure Allah isn't. We have to make sure Allah isn't unhappy with us.